and welcome back to the Imperfect Equestrian. Today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a different video again. There will be plenty of horses throughout the video, so please do stay tuned. Although I'm not doing a training vlog today, I'm not visiting anywhere new, and I'm not trying to go to a new activity. What I would like to speak to you today is about a camera that I use to help me get videos and make them interesting shots, which if you are a solo equestrian creator is very difficult to get some interesting angles and some interesting ideas. So this camera is the Insta360 X4. This is not a sponsored video in any way. I just really like to use this camera. I've been using the Insta360 range for quite a few years now, and I usually use the Insta360 One X. So sometimes when you've seen me do riding videos where you're looking from my point of view, I'm using that camera, and I've used it for some interesting angles and shots before. But the X4 I have had recently has a much higher quality, and today in the video I would like to show you some ideas about how you too can use it to help make your equestrian videos and make them really interesting, and some ideas of what you can do. So let's get going and have a look at some of those ideas.
You look so beautiful, and I'm so lucky to be yours. And you're taking me high. Ain't nobody like you. I'm not coming down. Ain't nobody like you. I could go 1,000 miles as long as I'm with you. Yeah, you're taking me high. Ain't nobody like you.
So let's take a quick look at the Insta360 X4 and see what makes it a good camera. So it's quite small, as you can see, compared to my hands, and quite narrow, so it's easy to put in your pocket and carry around. So it means you can easily take it to anywhere with you. Now, the way it works is it has a lovely big lens at the front here, and also a lovely big lens at the back there. Now, how that helps is that it's actually filming out both lenses at the same time, and in the app or on the computer, it will take away this line in the middle and fuse the two images together, which will make one big photo between them, or a video in our case. And what you can do with that is either use it as a 360 video where people can look around all over the place, or you can choose which part of the image you want to look at, which is where it's very, very useful because you're filming everything at the same time. In this video, if you can see the camera on the screen, like now, then I am filming on my phone. If you can't see the camera on the screen, then I am filming directly from the Insta360 X4, just so that you know which parts are which. I'm actually pleased that it also has a lovely display section on the back, so that we can see what's going on, what we're filming at the time. We can look back through what we have filmed, delete anything that's useless and we don't want. So that's a really good feature as well. I'm not going to go what all the buttons are for at the moment, because there are plenty of videos around about that. So you can go and have a look at those if you want to know. But this is just going to be a video about how it's useful to us as equestrians. So the Insta360 make their own selfie sticks. Some other selfie sticks will work as well, which obviously, as you can see, can extend out to quite long if you need to. And it's called a magic selfie stick, because what happens is you can just about see that it comes directly in line with the bottom, and it's no wider than the actual camera itself. So if you remember me saying that it has a magic feature where it can erase the center line and make one photo out of the two, whenever you're holding the selfie stick, it'll actually look like you're not holding anything at all. So it removes the selfie stick completely from the image. So whereas before, where you might have like a GoPro or something like that, and you're holding it out with a selfie stick, you will see that selfie stick being held out as the camera looks back at you. With this, it completely erases it and makes it look like somebody else is taking a photo. So as you can see, I have the invisible selfie stick attached here, and it is looking like somebody else is filming me. Obviously, you can see that I'm holding it in my hand if you know I'm holding something, so you do need to try and be a bit more natural with where you hold it as you go along. It's looking a bit more natural here because I'm holding the rope and the camera out at the same time. You can put it in different positions to get different shots, which you can adjust in the app after. And actually in the app and on the camera, there is a function called me mode, where if you're more bothered about you being in frame, it will keep you in frame no matter what angle you go around, so it just saves on a little bit of editing time later. As you can see here, sometimes I opted for just the horse, so I didn't choose that option this time. Now these clips will look familiar to you if you've been watching my videos recently, but please watch them from a more cinematic perspective. As you can see, the footage is pretty smooth despite the fact that I'm walking along, and often I'll be choosing a different angle to view the horse at, and I'm adjusting that in the app after. I'm literally just walking around with a stick in my hand to take these shots, sometimes walking and sometimes staying still. You can see how we can also zoom as well, which is another option, as well as go away. So here I'm literally just walking around the horse, and I'm able to pick the angle and the zoom perspective, and then after the horse has completed its task, I choose to change to a completely different shot without being mindful at all of the angles that I'm having to take whilst filming. Using the selfie stick and a 360 camera can give you options of more dynamic and more interesting shots than you would be able to achieve just with, say, a phone or even a normal camera. Just add into a little bit more interest into a normal video. Now let's take a quick look at what it would look like with riding and how I might cut that into an interesting piece. And here's a short I created for social media using the invisible selfie stick. So the Insta360 X4 has a 1/4 inch screw mount at the bottom, which means it can be put onto any kind of tripod or mount. In fact, most GoPro style mount accessories go really well with this camera. Here I'm in our round pen with JJ, and I've just got the 360 camera mounted on a simple tripod at about head height, and as you can see, it's perfectly capable of following us the entire way around the round pen. Now I can either do this by literally manually selecting to follow us, putting in keyframes as we go in the editing app, or I can track me. So I would put a box around myself and it would track me, keeping up with us well, even at a faster pace. Now here I've mounted it on the tripod again, but I'm outside the round pen, and it's given us a left to right view as she runs around. So it's just a slightly different angle and showing you how it can still follow her. And I am using manual keyframes to achieve this. I could have zoomed out to see it more fully, but I opted not to. Now here we've moved into more of an arena sized area, and you're going to see some shots of it following Comanche around. It's going to be walking and trotting and also cutting across the arena. And again, I've manually selected the keyframes I want in this situation. So as he cuts across, I'm able to zoom out to get his full image in, and anytime he goes nearer to the fence line, I'm able to zoom in as much as I need to. Obviously the quality will change, so if you zoom in too much you're going to lose a lot of quality, but in general it's quite a good quality. And as you can see, we're also able to follow him all the way around the arena, just as we were in the round pen, even though it's a greater distance away. Again, I've got the camera mounted on a simple tripod in the center of my grass arena. I could have it in a corner or on an edge or slightly offset, but I'm managing to get around just fine. This is another occasion where within the app I could actually opt to track myself instead of using manual keyframes. It's not actually very good at tracking the horse as it keeps turning direction, but it seems to be able to recognize me. So that's just another option you can use. Now in this video, what I'm showing you here is how much of a good range you have. So I'm bringing JJ up one side of the field, she's about to go over a jump, and then we'll track her back on the other side. So with some traditional cameras, they have a certain amount of turn on them, but then you miss some of the approach and retreat, say like jumping and things like that. But with the 360 camera, I am filming all the way around all the time, so no matter how far left or right she goes out of shot, then I can still see her. We can also create some more interesting and artistic shots by altering the position of the camera. So here I have it on a small tripod underneath the jump, and I'm following her with the keyframes over the top. There's also a feature called Little Planet where you can make little planets, and here I use it to make a more interesting shot. Here I'm wearing the 360 camera on a chest mount. I could also wear it on a hat mount or any compatible mount at all. It's acting rather like a traditional GoPro here, where I'm having the view of me riding forwards. I could zoom in and just have his ears in the shot if that's what I preferred, or I can pan out as far as having my hands in the action. Now if something interesting happens to the left or right that we're not expecting, it's easy to use keyframes to focus on those situations, whereas with a normal GoPro you would have to actually turn your body or your head to focus on those situations. It can be very handy for filming first-person perspectives of things like grooming, where you may need two hands at some times to do some activities. The nearer your eye line you have it, the more they see what you would see. Here I've decided to use it in a more interesting and artistic way. I have popped a mount, which is just a clamp, onto her harness, and it's enabling me to take front and back views. By altering where it sits, I can take slightly different angles, and it just makes, again, for a slightly more interesting video than maybe would be normally available to you. As I'd mentioned earlier, we can also use the Tiny Planet feature to make some interesting videos which are perhaps better used in shorts, but again could make for an interesting artistic section against some music in a normal video. On this occasion, I've used a clamp to attach the 360 camera to a bareback pad on my Appaloosa, and I'm using some careful keyframing to give the illusion of somebody actually riding the horse, even though there's actually no one on there. These possibilities are really only limited by our own imaginations. So the Insta360 X4 can also be used as a vlogging camera. So you can have it where you're actually talking to the camera. At the moment I'm using the camera's microphone, which I've also used in the intro, and you'll see it again in the outro. You can actually, if you've got a mic that connects to Bluetooth, connect an actual mic to the camera as well. I don't have one of those yet, but I'll hope to get one in the future a little bit. And it can also be used really well for interviews. So you can have someone sitting on the opposite side of the camera, and then later on you can switch between the two images to see you talking, then switch to the other person talking. The mic in the camera also has some capabilities. It has an automatic wind reduction if needed as well, and it also can switch to a directional mic because there's 4 mics all the way around, and you can turn that on so that as you move around, the mic that's nearest you will take the favour of your voice, and sometimes that's a little bit clearer if you're outside and you don't have an attached mic. To create drone type shots with the X4, I usually mount it on an extra long selfie stick, as you can see, and in this case I've got it tied to a fence. Sometimes I'll put it on a weighted tripod, or put a small tripod in a cone in the arena so that it's more hidden away. And obviously the long selfie stick still disappears, just like the normal selfie stick does when you use it. Insta360 do supply a 3 meter long selfie stick, which also becomes an invisible selfie stick, but on this occasion I'm just using a shop bought 10-foot long one that extends like a fishing pole. To create this illusion of a flying drone, I simply hold a camera quite low down near to the horses, and as I walk away I'm lifting it up high in the air as I go. Now with this, I have it mounted on the long selfie stick, and it's at the side of the arena, so I'm getting a good aerial view so you can really see the shape and the pattern that she's doing as I'm doing a figure eight. Again, it's just a slightly more interesting angle from being on the floor. With this one, I've got it mounted in the centre of the arena. Now I tend to put it within a cone so that if I do look down at any time, that it's hidden with the equipment that may be around the arena. As you can see, I'm zooming in, and again it's just a slightly different, more interesting angle than you may have from being on ground level. It still has no problem in following me around as I use keyframes. As it's in the centre, I take a more interesting shot and go to a tiny planet, making sure that my round pen fills the screen so that it's very easy for people to see how she is moving around the round pen. Again, this is another drone type shot, and it's a more artistic video. It's quite easy to see any manoeuvres she makes, any changes of direction, stopping, so any patterns that you do can be followed easily. I can also reverse the tiny planet image, and here we have a short style video where I've reversed it into more of a tunnel. So again, for shorts this can be highly interesting. I don't show it on these pictures, but with the tiny planets and the tunnel effects, the nearer you have your camera to the floor, the more the horse will stand out against the background. But here I've just opted for a look where it looks like I'm flying far above the earth. And finally, there are the videos that most people think of when they think of a 360 camera. Because it's filming all the way around, you can actually use it quite creatively. Here you can see I've put it on Comanche's back, and I put the whole video on as a 360 experience so that people can play about and pretend that they're riding him on YouTube. You can see how by using a phone, I can look anywhere on the shot at all. It's at the viewer's discretion what to watch. It's a very fun experience for people and a good interesting video for people to make. Well, thank you so much for watching today, and I really hope that you've enjoyed the interesting videos that can be created, and I hope at the very least it's inspired you to go out and try some different things for yourself. If you are interested in the Insta360 X4, I shall try and get a link if I can and pop it below so that you can take a link to the main site. There are some other areas that sell them as well. So get out, get creating, however you want to do it, even if you're using your normal phone, as I have done most of the time. Hopefully you'll have some ideas of angles and things like that that you can try. But as a solo creator, I really think this is one of the best cameras you can have on the market. It's really worth the money. So I'll see you again next time. Don't forget to like and share, and drop me a comment about what you think of today's video and if you would try an Insta360 if you got the chance to. Thanks then. Bye.